Dear Diary, Saturday. Yeah. Interesting, interesting day to say the least. It was going pretty well up until recently. Uh, I was fairly chipper most of the day. Most of the day. The morning was rough. Uh, I just got finished watching Star Trek: The Motion Picture because it's on Netflix right now, and it's. I thought it was the original cut, and it's not, because there's pieces that are missing from it. I mean, it's part of the original cut because when it was originally released in 1979, I was sitting in the theater with my mother, and we're watching it, and the guy at the Epsilon 9 communication relay was like, it measures, my God, over 82 AUs in diameter. And I was like, what's an AU? So she had to explain to me what an astronomical unit was. And I was like, that's really big. She's like, yeah, it really is. Now, when they re-released it, when they kind of remastered it and re-released it, they changed that line to 2 AUs. It's over 2 AUs in diameter, which is significantly smaller. And I was like, hey, wait a minute. You changed that thing. So this was more of the original cut because it said 82 AUs in diameter. But it wasn't all of the original cut because there was a whole bunch of stuff that wasn't in there. Like when Kirk tells Scotty to get ready to blow up the ship. And the young lady walks over and she says, why does he order self-destruct? It's like, well, he hopes that, when we go up, we'll take the intruder with us. It's like, will we? It's like, when that much matter and antimatter come together? Oh, yes. And I'm like, that was not in this version. What the hell? There were a lot of other pieces that were not in this version. I just want to see one version that takes all the stuff from the original cut and all the stuff from the remastered cut and puts it all together into one freaking film so that the whole damn thing is in there. That's all I want to see. Is that so much to freaking ask? Anyway, I was in a fairly chipper mood up until I finished watching that. And since that point, I've started getting angrier and angrier and angrier. And it's not because of the film. It's just a bunch of other little stuff that it's kind of coming in from all directions. So let's try to focus on some good things. Maybe I'll be a little bit more chipper by the time we get to the end of this thing here. So the notes that I recorded right before I tried to record this the first time, because I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, go record. And I'm watching, I'm like maybe 2 minutes into it. And I look down and the video is like, in the recording. I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm just getting angrier and angrier. And I'm like, nope, that video is going to be choppy as all hell. It's getting maybe, 1 out of every 5 frames. No. So I rebooted the machine and now I'm back to this part again. So, as I wrote these notes down, with voiceover stuff, I got, I finished, and the yawning begins. This morning, I turned in a piece that a guy from the audiobook Creation Exchange over at Amazon, he asked me to do a line. I think I mentioned it before. He's doing his audiobook kind of like a radio play sort of thing, almost. Anyway, so I turned in those lines today. And I was like, let me know if you want anything changed, if you want anything done differently, if I didn't pronounce anything right, because he hadn't really given me a pronunciation key to go with it. And there was a couple of words in there that I didn't know exactly how they were supposed to be pronounced. But I went with what I thought they were supposed to be. Anyway, so I send him this thing. And he's like, oh my God, it's perfect. Here, have your money. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right, fine. Awesome. So I tweeted, another satisfied voiceover customer. So that's what that was, if you saw that tweet earlier today. And then shortly thereafter, I get a request from another person to do some voiceover stuff, which I haven't recorded yet because it was way too noisy earlier today. But I can't record here during the day anyway, so that's, I mean, that has been a known factor for a while. So at some point here in the very near future, I'm going to have to take a nap because otherwise, come 11:30, I'm going to be like, because I've been up since like 8 a.m., which, given how late I was awake, is a long time because I only slept like 2.5, maybe 3 hours before I got up and started recording last night. Anyway, so the voiceover stuff is definitely picking up momentum. I mean, I'm actually getting paid. Oh, wow, this is amazing stuff. Not as much as I'd like, but hey, I'm still just starting out, so I'm sure that by this time tomorrow I will be a millionaire. EverQuest Next did their Landmark Alpha release today. Last time I tried to record this is where I looked down and saw chop, 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 chop. But it's fine. For now. They had, stuff, live streams and whatnot going on. Yeah. So apparently that went quite well. And apparently the NDA, which for those of you who don't know is a non-disclosure agreement. It basically means that, yeah, you can take part in this thing, but you can't talk to anybody about it because they don't want proprietary information getting out. So apparently that was dropped today. They're like, okay, the NDA is lifted. Wow, you can either say that it was dropped or lifted. I think dropped would sound more like canceled, but lifted is more like, okay, you can go ahead and wait, no, something. I don't know. Anyway, so that was lifted. So people are going to start talking about it, I'm sure, at some point in the very near future. I think I mentioned that I posted to the Robert Space Industries forums. I had updated my thread on the Galactic Guide entries for the Aegis Dynamics narration for the Galactic Guide entry for that. I'm still waiting for the Davian system Galactic Guide entry to release. It probably come down next week. And then I'll release the thing for that because that's already done and it's ready to go. This morning, late this morning, I knew that I was supposed to, around noon, was supposed to talk to a friend of mine who was asking for some help with his blog that he's trying to start. And so we were supposed to hook up at noon today on Skype and talk about various, bits of feedback that I was going to give to him and whatnot. And I guess it was around 11 or so, I was awake and I was just like, we might as well just do this now. I have nothing else going on right now. And he's like, okay, fine. So we jumped on Skype. I'm like, okay, now, you need to think about this and think about this and think about this. Here's this video series that'll probably help you and blah, 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 blah. So over the course of the day, he's been, sending me updates on, oh my God, that's how that works. It's like, yeah, there you go. Now, now you understand. He's like, this is nowhere near as hard as I thought it was. Yeah, that's exactly the realization I had when I started working on it. And so it's just like, I think the last thing he sent to me on Skype was, oh my God, the pressure is like building. Now that I know how to do all this stuff, why does it seem like there's a greater sense of pressure now than there was before? It's, well, welcome to the club kind of thing. And then another buddy of mine in the UK was asking, he had asked yesterday or the day before for some my opinion on certain types of microphones and which ones that he should get, and talked about that at some length. And one of the biggest things I told him, I was like, if you have a local store that has, microphones and stuff that does music stuff, go to the store and try them out because different microphones are going to have different, things. I mean, three microphones that look exactly the same are going to read your voice very, very differently. One is going to be really bassy and one is not, and back and forth. And one will have more sparkle than the other one does, even though they look like they're basically the same thing. Not always. So you actually try them out before you purchase them and find out which one works best for the effect, the sound that you're going for. So he bought his new microphone. He bought a Blue Yeti. It's a nice mic. Got it home and he set it up and he started recording. And he's like, "Oh my God, that's bassy." I'm like, "Well, yeah." If you go from a headset microphone to a Blue Yeti, it's going to pick up a lot more of the bass in your voice. And he's got, his voice isn't, he's a baritone, I guess, where I'm more of a bass. So he's not quite as deep as my voice is, but it's close. And so listening to the recordings that he was doing, it's starting to sound more like mine. And it's like, and then he went and he took his laptop into like the living room, because the area where he was recording is kind of like there's a sort of a diagonal shelf over the table where his computer is, because it's the underside of the stair, where the stairs go up to the second level of his house, and it's kind of in this recess underneath that. And I'm like, "Oh, dude, man, the sound is going to be bouncing all over in there," because he's on a hardwood table. He's got the hard back wall. He's got the hard, and all these sharp angles on it. I'm like, that's going to sound crazy weird. And he took his laptop into the living room and set up everything with the microphone in there and recorded. And he was like, "I cannot believe how different that sounds." Like, I know. It's just, you've got this just the sound waves bouncing all over the place. It's crazy. So he's looking into that, and both of them, I was like, use your noise canceling, specifically on Audacity, the noise removal tool. And once they kind of sussed out how to use it, because when I first was looking at it, I was like, "Why is this thing not working? I can't get this thing to do anything." It's because I hadn't recorded a noise profile yet. If you've never used Audacity, you basically record about 10, maybe 20 seconds. The longer period of room noise you can give it, the better. But you record like 10 to 15, maybe 20 seconds of silence, just you not talking and not breathing and not, just be quiet and let the microphone listen to what the room sounds like. And once you've got that, and you stop recording, you click on, I believe it's effect. No, excuse me. Sorry, I forgot a step. You select the whole track. You have to select the whole track, or at least a part of the track, but I select the whole thing. And then you go to effect and you select noise removal, and it'll open up a little window, and at the very top it says like noise profile or whatever. You click that and it takes that track that you've selected, either the whole thing or a portion that you've selected. That becomes your noise profile, and that's what it listens for as noise to be removed. So once you've got your noise profile, you close that little window, and then you can delete that track if you don't have any reason to keep it open, which you really don't, because once Audacity has that profile, as long as the program's open, it remembers it. So you're fine. You don't have to keep that track around if you don't want to. And then you record whatever it is you're going to record, if it's this sort of a thing. Once you've done that, you select the whole track. After you stop recording, you select the whole track, you go back to effects and back to noise removal, and then you click OK for the noise removal. You don't try to get another noise profile, or it'll take your entire recording as a noise profile, and if you apply that, it'll just erase everything you've done. It's like, "Oh, that's what you want blocked out? No problem." And it just erases it all. Now, you want to select the whole track, click on effect, click on noise removal, then click on OK, because you've already got the noise profile. The nose profile? You've already got that selected. You've already got that in memory. It knows what that is. So you want to apply that noise, and it gets rid of all this hiss and hum and crazy ambient noise that you don't hear. So it works out really, really well. And they both tried it and were like, "Oh my God, what a difference." I'm like, "Yep, I know. It's one of my favorite tools in Audacity is the noise removal tool. I love it so much." So here we are, closing in on 15 minutes. Wow, okay, I spent a lot of time talking about Audacity's noise removal tool, whatever. So I'm going to let you guys go, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow for Sunday. And until next time I see you, be careless.